It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Oh, man. Like, we didn't see this coming.
What?
Well, the $2.2 billion solar plant in California is now scheduled to be turned off after years of wasting money. I guess it's the Ivanpah Solar Power Facility in California's Mojave Desert.
Yeah.
Is going to be shut down. The solar power plant, which features three 459-foot towers and thousands of computer-controlled mirrors, cost some $2.2 billion to build. Construction began in 2010. It was completed in 2014. Now it's set to close in 2016 after failing to efficiently generate solar energy. God. In 2011, the U.S. Department of Energy under Obama issued $1.6 billion in three federal loan guarantees for the projects, and the Secretary of Energy at the time hailed it as an example of how America is becoming a world leader in solar energy.
Man, it was losing Stephen Colbert money.
Yeah. It stands as a testament to the waste and inefficiency of government-subsidized energy schemes, said Jason Isaac, CEO of the American Energy Institute, an American energy advocacy group, told Fox News via a statement this past February it never lived up to its promises, producing less electricity than expected while relying on natural gas to stay operational. Jeez.
It's in the Mojave Desert. You can't produce energy efficiently from the sun in the Mojave Desert?
When it began operating in 2014, it ranked as the world's largest solar plant. It seemed like a viable solution to California's renewable energy goals of employing affordable and efficient technology to reduce the need for fossil fuels. Then you wouldn't have needed the subsidies.
Exactly.
And the government giving you loan guarantees.
Exactly. No, but this was...
I guarantee, in most places in the United States, if you're a reputable company and you say, we're going to build natural gas turbines to produce electricity, I guarantee you don't need government loans to do so.
Right.
You can get them from the private sector.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you look at this approach, by the way, and this was it. You know, it'll work if we just put them in, a solar power plant needs to be in an area where there's tons of sun, the Mojave Desert, perfect example. Then Arizona, and then West Texas or whatever it is. And they sell you all of this, but the fact of the matter is that they're highly inefficient. And so is wind power. And we know this. We've been over this. Other countries have already learned this. There are other nations that have learned this. And why we've had to go through this when we could do the simple math from the beginning is beyond me, but I guess we do.
The facility now this wasn't typical solar panels, so people know.
Right.
Just so you know what kind of a solar power plant this was. Mm-hmm. This was sort of like Eric and his solar-powered tanning bed.
That's right. Very efficient.
Right. And are you still selling it for $1,000 each?
Yeah. They're on sale now for $9.99, but it's
$9.99.
It's a lawn chair. It's for critical thinkers. It's a lawn chair. All you need is a sunny day, and the solar powered tanning bed is there. It's very efficient.
We only take cash.
Yeah.
The facility's 5 square miles of desert were covered with some 173,500 basically mirrors adjusted via computer to catch maximum rays. The computer-controlled mirrors can reflect light from the sun at temperatures that can reach 1,000 degrees in part of the installment. The idea was that you could use the sun to produce a heat source. The mirrors reflect heat from the sun up to a receiver, which is mounted on the top of the tower. That heats a fluid. That creates steam that spins a conventional steam turbine. It is complicated, though it sounds like a bit of a Rube Goldberg contraption. It looks like an art installation. It was a cutting-edge idea for a while, but as the market changed, it couldn't compete with the newer and less expensive forms of creating solar power. It simply did not scale up. It's kind of an obsolete technology that's been outpaced by solar panels. God, we were against this when they.
But
we were furious when they were going to do this. But
what are you seeing? It's what we've talked about from the beginning. It's going to require, again, greater efficiency in the future, which means you have to replace it in the future, which means you've spent all of this money to get nothing, to lose money.
Right. And by the way, you still have to subsidize the solar industry.
And it's also killing birds, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. I remember we talked about all this back then.
Yeah, Colonel Sanders didn't fry this many chickens.
Yeah. Wow. A statement by NRG Energy, a Texas-based company that was the partner and the largest investor, having put up $300 million, agreed with the analysis. Mm-hmm. When the power purchase agreements were signed in 2009, the prices were competitive, but advancements over time have led to more efficient, cost-effective, and flexible options of producing clean energy. It hasn't just been inefficient and expensive, as you just brought up, deadly for wildlife.
Yeah.
According to the Association of Avian Veterinarians, the power plant is believed to be responsible for at least 6,000 bird deaths each year. They get fried if they fly in the area where the reflection is going up to the tower.
Yet you kill one lizard in West Texas, they shut down oil production.
Yeah.
By the way, we are against killing lizards, to be clear.
I just love this one. This is the one that's going to make you scream. You ready for this one? Look at me. See what I'm doing with my fingers as I'm reading this here? I'm actually rubbing my forehead. I just realized what I was doing. I have my hands over my face. I'm rubbing my forehead here.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe it didn't have to be that way. A report published by the World Economic Forum earlier this year noted that private investors can be more nimble with new technologies than the government.
Really? I haven't heard that anywhere. What?
You sound like that dog. Really?
What kind of backwards math is that? What?
Unlike public market investors, private equity firms.
Public market investors. Is that what we are?
Yes.
Is that what the taxpayer is now?
You're a public market.
I'm a public. If someone asks me I'm a public market investor.
Well, I just paid today my public market investments.
Mm-hmm.
I just contributed today to my public market investments.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. I saw my paycheck, and my public market investments were taken out.
Yeah.
But unlike public market investors, private equity firms can implement transformative changes through hands-on management and aligned incentives, the report read. Oh my God. We could write that in a much simpler way, right?
Mm.
Private sector will make it work because they're going to make a profit. Government doesn't make a profit, doesn't care about making a profit. They just care about being in control. Don't do it.
If there's no promise of profit, the private sector stays on the sidelines.
Yeah. And stop calling it public market investors. Call it companies that take taxpayer dollars.
Yeah.
Steve Malloy, senior fellow at the Energy and Environmental Legal Institute, said no green project relying on taxpayer subsidies has ever made any economic or environmental sense. It is important that President Trump stop the taxpayer bleeding by ending what he accurately calls the Green New Scam, end of quote. At least he's talking in normal English.
Yeah. Yeah.
Public market investors. We shouldn't be calling it taxes because taxes have a negative connotation to it. Let's call it public market investments.
Yeah.
That's what we'll call taxes from now on.
Yeah, right.
Everybody like that?
Sure. Love it.
Oh, they just threw it down the toilet. They just threw money down they just throw money down the toilet. And the public, bought into the BS for years.
Right. And what's playing out here is something that was, in fact, known. This was highly predictable. The maintenance and the advancement of technology is going to age out all of them. And when you're having to pour that much taxpayer money into it, then what does that tell you? That tells you that you can't get it done because you can't get it done otherwise. And if we get to a point where the private sector says, whoa, we're jumping in, that's when you'll know you have something.
All right. So we had mentioned Steve Malloy, and I just happened to bookmark something that he posted yesterday.
All right.
That relates to all of this. 18 years ago, at his I forgot about this. At his Nobel Peace Prize speech, Al Gore warns that the Arctic could be ice-free as soon as 2014. You and I both remember that.
Yeah.
Reality, the ice cap had 500,000 square kilometers of ice more in September of 2025 than when Al Gore made this call in 2007. Wow. Here's Al Gore here. Here we go.
All right.
Last September 21st, as the northern hemisphere tilted away from the sun, scientists reported with unprecedented alarm that the North Polar ice cap is, in their words, falling off a cliff. One study estimated that it could be completely gone during summer in less than 22 years. Another new study to be presented by U.S. Navy researchers later this week warns it could happen in as little as 7 years.
They've been doing this for years.
Well, and we've been asking the question for years because we've been following it for over half a century now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at least I have for over half a century.
Yeah.
And it's just like none of the doomsday scenarios, none of them ever came true. And yet the media and the public for decades, a half century, has given the doomsday scenarios credibility when they should have never had any.
Right.
And you should eventually ask the question, if all of your doomsday predictions are wrong, which was what was used to get trillions of dollars of money flushed down the toilet, should people question your credibility in the future?
Right.
Or question why we are doing the things that we're doing?
We've been doing it.
Or do we just say it doesn't matter, we like to hear nice things and we love hearing fairy tales?
Well, we love hearing doomsday fairy tales that never come true and are proven wrong time and time again with just a few years. By the way, there's a reason why they can't say, well, by the year 2525, if man is still alive. They can't push it that far down because the fear then isn't enough. They have to say, in a few short years every time, but they're defeated every time by reality.
Zager and Evans.
That's right.
See?
Mm-hmm.
Only an old guy would know that.
Yeah, a really old guy.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Brought to you by FPPF, Fuel Power Max.
Most owner-operators leased to larger carriers are paid on a per-mile basis or a percentage of revenue per load. The per-mile basis is most prevalent among larger fleets, percentage at smaller. Pay per mile tends to dominate discussions about pay just because it's easier to measure, and pay per mile often is wrongly used as the deciding factor in leasing to a carrier. While pay per mile can be a vital factor, it's not a cure for every ill, nor does it mean a big settlement check is coming an owner-operator's way. Why? Because pay per mile always must be considered in balance with gross revenue as well as total costs. Gross revenue can include flat mileage pay that varies by length of haul, percentage revenue pay, and more. Most importantly, though, for every revenue dollar generated, only part of that dollar is profit. But for every extra dollar of cost saved, the entire dollar contributes to profit. Knowing and understanding your cost to operate is fundamental to understanding the true value of any pay package. Owner-Operator Business 101 is provided by Overdrive's Partners in Business program. Go to overdriveonline.com to the Partners in Business section of the website for more details on this and many other topics. Brought to you by Shell Rotella, with advanced synthetic technology is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
We are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Well, that's a great example. I mean, just in the last segment, talking about the $2.2 billion solar plant in the desert in California now that will be gone next year. Mm-hmm. Complete waste of taxpayer dollars. Mm-hmm. $1.6 billion in taxpayer dollars down the toilet. And then there was a comment from Steve Malloy, who has been against all of this, and I just happened to not even knowing that he was going to be quoted in that story, had an audio cut lined up because it was back 18 years ago that Al Gore, won the Nobel Peace Prize.
Yeah.
And think about it. He won the Nobel Peace Prize because of all his work on climate change.
Right.
By 2011, he had to admit that he lied about ethanol, mm-hmm. and he only did it in order to hopefully win election in 2000.
Yeah.
And so it's a great lesson that all these grandiose awards out there,
right,
all mm-hmm. these institutions that exist, the Nobel Peace Prize, and Al Gore deserves it for bringing this idea of government investment in clean energy that will bring peace to the world, blah, 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 all a load of horse manure.
He admitted he lied.
Yeah. He admitted he lied in 2011.
Yeah, 2010.
2010.
Yeah,
okay.
NBC News, Al Gore. Yeah. Votes, not science, led me to back corn ethanol.
Yeah.
That's from NBC, November 22nd of 2010.
And we still subsidize ethanol today.
Yep.
And that's part of the problem when we talk about, the shutdown and Obamacare subsidies. Once you start subsidizing something, even if the government knows it doesn't work.
Right. Right.
It doesn't matter. You can't stop it from going.
Right.
The old man is angry.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. All right, the Biden administration used the TSA to target Tulsi Gabbard, several Republican lawmakers, and hundreds of January 6 defendants, a Senate investigation found. The TSA surveilled Gabbard under its Quiet Skies program. The Senate Homeland Security and Governance Committee confirmed after a whistleblower came forward with the allegation last year. Gabbard was first added to the program a day after she criticized then-President Joe Biden and then Vice President Kamala Harris, the Senate report shows. Internal documents make it clear that federal air marshals were aware that Tulsi Gabbard was a former member of Congress when she was placed in the program, as the internal file on Gabbard, including her official congressional portrait, and described her as a former congresswoman from Hawaii. Additionally, the TSA put 3 Republican lawmakers on its silent partner watch list, another agency surveillance program, and placed hundreds of January 6 Capitol riot defendants on a TSA watch list. The Senate investigation found silent partner identifies passengers for enhanced screenings on U.S.-bound international flights. Quiet Skies, a similar program, identifies passengers on domestic flights and outbound international flights for further screening, according to a 2019 Department of Homeland Security assessment. The Republican lawmakers whose names were redacted in the report were either sitting members of Congress or running for office at the time that they were flagged. All 3 are currently serving in Congress. The lawmakers may have been added to the list because they traveled to regions with high levels of terrorist activities, but as the report notes, a cursory review would have revealed them to be a member of Congress or a decorated U.S. military veteran or service member. The January 6 defendants were put on a different TSA watch list after the Capitol riot, with many of them targeted despite the lack of specific evidence that they committed criminal acts during the riot. So apparently they were put in when they were charged. Mm-hmm. From January to March of 2021, at least 234 subjects were added to the TSA watch list. Let me see. Under Biden, the TSA also put 12 individuals on a watch list for removing their masks on an aircraft in April of 2022 to protest COVID-19 mandates, the report indicates. Another case of TSA abuse spotlighted in the Senate report involved a federal air marshal's wife who was labeled a domestic terrorist for supposedly entering the U.S. Capitol on January 6th, although there was absolutely no evidence that she did. She was surveilled by federal air marshals for 2 years until she was removed from the FBI's terrorism screening database after it became clear she had become mistaken for someone else.
Wow.
I love this. Are you ready for this? Libertarian Senator Rand Paul, Republican from Kentucky, chairman of the Senate committee, held a hearing about the Quiet Skies program Tuesday upon the release of the report. Witnesses at Paul's hearing included journalist Matt Taibbi, TSA whistleblower Mark Crowder, and whistleblower attorney Tristan Levitt. Paul severely criticized the TSA's unconstitutional surveillance activities and called for full transparency to ensure similar government malfeasance does not take place in the future. TSA deemed hundreds of Americans as threats to national security simply for holding opposing political views. The federal government used its investigative authorities, anonymous tips, and university research institutions to build a flimsy case to put them on the watch list. You know, when you look at it here, the Tulsi Gabbard thing, for example, or the 3 senators or the 3 members of the Republicans running for Congress, What do you mean it may have been? Why don't you know specifically why Tulsi Gabbard was put on?
Right.
What does it? What do you mean you can't? You can't get to it? Of course you can get to it. You're representatives of Congress, and there's abuse like this. I want to know where the word came down from. TSA just didn't say one day we're going to go after Tulsi Gabbard.
Right. It has to be some kind of specific directive, and there has to be a basis for it.
Yep. Now, you mentioned Matt Taibbi, who is, by the way, part of the Twitter files.
Yeah.
He exposed that Tulsi Gabbard was put on a TSA terrorist watch program that cost $200 million a year, never made one arrest. Here's what he had to say yesterday at the Senate Homeland Security Committee meeting examining the weaponization of the Quiet Skies program.
Former Hawaii Congresswoman and presidential candidate Tulsi Gabbard was placed in a surveillance program called Quiet Skies by the Transportation and Security Administration. She was subject to intrusive searches, followed by bomb-sniffing dogs, and trailed by 3 federal air marshals per flight. To cover the story, I contacted the TSA. They no-commented the main question about the truth of the story, but added, as if in mitigation, quote, simply matching to a risk-based rule does not constitute derogatory information about an individual. That's bureaucratese for, we can't say if Mrs. Gabbard was in the program, but if she was, don't draw any conclusions because we do this even to innocent people. Before Quiet Skies was discontinued by this administration, it was a symbol of the steep decline of federal enforcement since 9/11. The government spent $200 million a year following up to 50 people a day for a program that in its history never once led to an arrest or thwarted a single terrorist act. Despite its demonstrated inutility and grave civil liberties concerns, it was refunded year after year because this is what our government does now. It gathers information on its own citizens as an end in itself.
Yeah.
The Senate should find out why every single person was put on that list.
Every single letter, every single sentence, and
every email,
everything that was on every document leading up to that should be fully available to members of Congress.
Right. And the fact that we don't know specifically, from the Senate report, why she was put on it.
Right.
Who ordered it?
Right.
All that should be in the record that Congress, if you wish to say initially, we can't, this is classified material, well, then you declassify it.
Mm-hmm.
The president should declassify any of this. If they're claiming it's classified, I haven't seen where they have said it's classified, though. So why doesn't the Senate have it? How come the Senate doesn't know why Tulsi Gabbard was on the TSA terrorist watch program?
Right.
Why? And I don't want to hear, well, the TSA put her on it. What do you mean the TSA put her on it? No, they didn't.
That had to come from somewhere.
Right, exactly. They may have administratively, put her on it, but the intent came from someone else.
Right.
Who ordered that?
Right.
How did you get that? Who gave you the information on it? All of that should be presented. You can't have a bureaucracy like this that gets to keep secrets from our elected representatives.
Well, Tulsi Gabbard's the director of national intelligence.
Yeah.
How do we not know that already? How do we not know all of this already?
Right. Because that's who they targeted.
Right.
The person who's now the director of national intelligence. And here's the opposite point. If there is something in her background that legitimizes it, I don't want her as director of national security, of national intelligence.
Well, this is something we said when the story
back
first
then,
broke.
Yes.
We said, look, if there is something to this, then the American people also deserve to know that. Because there was always the possibility, and if not likelihood, she was going to run for office again.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's the case, and she had, and even if as a former lawmaker at that time, then the American people deserve to know if there is something that truly warrants her being on that list.
There wasn't.
there wasn't from the beginning.
Otherwise, we'd know it.
Of course.
That would have been leaked way back then. Well, she's
she
on it
wouldn't
because
be
of, right.
Director of National Intelligence.
Now, right, exactly.
That process would have been completely undermined, and you would have seen it, in fact, from the current commander-in-chief. He would have said, nope, we're withdrawing her nomination. That's not going to happen. I don't know where it goes from here.
You know, it got to the point, and I think we probably talked about this on the air, where it was just assumed it was abuse from the Biden administration.
Yeah.
That it came down from somebody in the Biden administration.
Right.
Target her because she's a Democrat attacking Joe.
Right.
It's almost assumed because, and it was like, well, no, that's just what happened during the Biden administration because she had to be vetted to become Director of National Intelligence.
Right.
And there should have been more of a hoopla from Republicans saying, we need to get to the bottom of this now. They ought to have been screaming about it.
Yeah.
Remember, she's a Democrat. Mm-hmm. Did she change?
I think she went independent.
Okay. But it's almost...
Or did she become a Republican?
But it's almost assumed. Mm-hmm. It's almost assumed now. Well, it's just what the Biden administration did.
Yeah.
They just put you on a list.
Yeah.
And, you know, this is why every time you say, in order to protect, you think about this, Eric, whether it was the NSA, every time you say we need to give these government bureaucracies, the intelligence agencies, the security agencies, we need to give them special top secret classified information where due process doesn't exist every single damn time they violate it.
Mm-hmm. It really is, and, you know, this is where I'm grateful for the work of someone like Matt Taibbi. We've seen this from the others that were part of the Twitter files. But I think Schellenberger, Taibbi, Barry Weiss, the work that they've done on items like this is critically important. And with the other lawmakers or people running for office that were also on the list. And then, you know, the part of the story that said, well, they may have been on the list because they traveled to dangerous parts of the world. Well, didn't any Democrats travel to dangerous parts of the world?
Well, then I want to know that.
Exactly.
What do you mean you don't? If you're doing the Senate report,
show me the paper trail.
Right. Yeah.
That will end all of the questions.
Right.
Where is that paper trail?
And it's as if no, we can keep this, this kind of bureaucratic stuff secret. No, you can't.
No, you can't.
866-90 Red Eye.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley and I'm Gary McNamara. So, with the government shut down, one of the places you always go to is thehill.com because they cover what's going on in Capitol Hill.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So I decided to see what the number one story was there, and it's the number one story. 3 members of the Democratic caucus buck Schumer on the government funding vote. I saw Senator Thune yesterday saying that they were going to have a vote today, another vote on it. And I know that he and Schumer talked after the actual shutdown, but I'm seeing the place we've seen it before, like thehill.com. If there's any clues that something's happening, you'll see it.
Yeah. Right,
I don't see any clues here at this moment.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where the movement is. It always is every time watching it, but the fact is there will be movement, and where does it end? For all of us that are fiscal conservatives, we're looking for the Republicans to do the right thing ultimately. But again, I think most of us now have zero confidence that that's going to happen. There's nobody talking cuts. There's nobody talking. The closest we're going to get to cuts is the president threatening to cut jobs as a result of the shutdown, which is ironic that the shutdown gets you to the real long-term cuts, if there are going to be any, if he actually follows through with that promise and eliminates a lot of roles on the government level.
I'm sure you would agree with this. The political win would be if Democrats could get them to change the continuing resolution in any way. Because the continuing resolution is what is just, it's clean. It's what the Biden administration put in. It's those spending levels.
Right. Yeah.
And so it's clean. So if they keep it from being clean, the Democrats will say, okay, see, you fought back and you got that.
Right.
Do the Republicans care about that? Does Trump care about that?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.